You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the capitalist corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the capitalist corner.
Baby, I love that. Where reason meets reality. Welcome to the capitalist corner, folks. We are your island of sanity in a sea of insanity. I am your host, Mark Pellegrino, and also the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, along with my co-host and the vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, Michael Liebowitz, who is also the host of his own magnificent show, The Rational Egoist, which I'm sure there's tons of stuff going on there now. I know you made an announcement the other day, but let's hear some more stuff going on in your great show, Michael.
Great interview out right now with Robert Trzynski. We discuss his book about Donald Trump called Dictator from Day One. He makes an absolutely compelling case, in my view. Highly recommend the book. Highly recommend listening to the interview. I think you'll absolutely love it.
Trzynski's a very good writer, but is it long?
The interview?
No.
Or the book?
Yeah.
140 pages, I think.
Yeah, that's a great read. I think that's a weekend read for anybody. And Trzynski's a really good thinker, guys. You should read his stuff. Didn't I read his stuff in the Objective Standard for a while?
How the hell do I know what you've read? I don't know.
No,
didn't I read it? How do I know?
Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed, folks. No, I'm assuming you read the Objective Standard from the time that it started coming out. So I'm curious to know. All
right, let me give you a little reminder. They don't exactly pass out the Objective Standard in the big house.
Yes. So you were looking through the laissez-faire book catalog. So I assumed maybe the Objective Standard.
I don't think they had the Objective Standard back then.
Okay. All right. So
this has really gone downhill fast. Let's reset. Let's get started. Reset.
Might I add that it's only gone downhill fast because of your grumpiness?
No, you asked a poor question.
I asked a fantastic question, but let's not bicker right off the bat, folks. I want to remind everybody that we on this show, though we are members and chairman and vice chair of the American Capitalist Party, this show is not affiliated with the American Capitalist Party. We talk about the news from our perspective as capitalists. If you want to know what the policies of the American Capitalist Party are, please visit AmericanCapitalistParty.org and review the policies. Donate if you can. Become a part of the change, because I think we are the answer to the establishment. What we have now are iterations of statism. That's basically what's out there right now. You want the alternative, which is individual rights and rational egoism. You want a free economy, free minds, free markets. That's what we stand for, folks. I also want to tell folks that for those few people who are Patreon subscribers, Michael and I will be discussing a very, very important topic for me, and that is whether or not it is appropriate in a free society to ban certain political parties from the political process. I will be taking the affirmative of that, and Michael will be taking the negative of that. And we'll see who gets the better of the other. It won't be real debate. I don't want to make it a debate, Michael, because you're too good at debating. I want to make it more like a discussion. That way you don't have to submit the results necessarily.
I will anyway. I'm having turkey for lunch today, by the way. Sliced turkey sandwich.
Nobody asked and nobody cares. I'm just telling you, except maybe Lee.
I know, because when this goes off, I'm going to eat my sandwich and prepare for the interview at 12. So that's what I was thinking about. Also, we have the Patreon for Self-Made Soul tomorrow on your.
Yes. So also, folks, for Patreon members, join in our conversation tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time for the Self-Made Soul. This time we will be reviewing my life. Now, you may be wondering why we're reviewing each other's lives. It's in part we want to show you where we came from, and we want to help you see that where you came from doesn't determine where you go. And we're going to also start introducing objectivist principles and virtues into the discussion and talk about how those helped our lives, how they helped us to straighten out our thinking, how they helped us to organize our lives in a better way and pursue values that are actually life affirming instead of life destroying. Today we have a question and answer day. It is Fabulous Friday. We have a couple of questions right out the bat that I want to answer. Michael, you may be interested in answering this too, although this is red meat for me. The first question out of the box from Nicole Hengel. Thoughts on the recent deal between Israel and Hamas?
Where are you seeing that?
I'm seeing this at the very top of the private chat. But it seems to be mixed with another question about common law and something else. The common law versus civil law, which is better for a capitalist.
I got nothing in the private chat about this. What's going on?
I don't know. Perhaps Persephone doesn't like you as much as she likes me.
You weren't here the day I wore my tank top, dude. I'm just saying.
Apparently, you made quite an impression. It must have been the hairy back. Nicole, if you're listening out there, I know we're starting an early show today. It's a little too early for me to be working a podcast, but I had to accommodate Michael in his schedule because he usually accommodates mine, so I had to repay in kind. I'll tell you that I am of the exact opposite opinion of what everyone in the conservative media seems to be trumpeting now, which is that Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize because he is organizing an unprecedented peace between the Arab nations, not just Hamas and Israel, but the Arab nations. Now, this is a terrible deal for Israel. The first two stages of it are awful because it requires the IDF to immediately withdraw from Gaza past a yellow line. And then after that withdrawal happens, there will be a return of hostages, supposedly. Now, they're saying all the live hostages, but the original deal was supposed to be all hostages alive and dead. But supposedly all the live hostages are going to be returned in exchange for 1,700 murderers and criminals that will be let out of Palestinian jails. Now, the next phases of the peace deal are going to be a lot more difficult because it's going to call for the complete disarmament of Hamas, their depoliticalization, and somehow their eradication. Whether that means exile, likely means some kind of exile or movement out of the country, and some form of deal that Israelis, the Israel Mossad, will not hunt them down in foreign countries, as they should be hunted down like the dogs that they are and killed like the mass murderers that they are. So this is a continuation of business as usual, ceasefires with no definitive winner, with the Islamicists basically coming out on top because we're negotiating with them and they should not be negotiated with, and an ideology that is not defeated at all. It may be somewhat diminished in the eyes of some of the Palestinian people, particularly those people in the Gaza Strip who have endured this misery for so long and have seen the literal corruption that Hamas has thrown their way by stealing their food and trying to resell it and attempting to foment a starvation crisis over there. But in the West Bank, support for Hamas remains very strong, and I contend that that's going to be a very difficult thing for the Palestinian Authority to overcome. And the Palestinian Authority, which will be slotted to sort of take over the governing government aspects of Hamas, is not a whole lot better. They don't recognize Israel. They are still a terrorist organization and use their police force to carry on terrorist actions. They're not good actors in this at all. So Israel is getting a raw deal. Now, people are happy because hostages may be coming home. I think this remains to be seen. I think Hamas has been a dishonest player. They're pathological. They're utterly fanatical and convinced of the justice of their cause, and the only way you can defeat them is to defeat their cause. So this is a terrible deal all the way around, but Trump is getting a lot of praise from it. I haven't heard anybody in the conservative press really question it at all. And I haven't been paying too much attention to the establishment press since I've been here. I've been too busy mourning my dog and studying for my part. Michael, do you have any thoughts about this? Because I think it just sucks.
Well, the Donald did not get the Nobel Peace Prize.
No, but they're angling for it.
No, it's over. He didn't get it.
Okay, good. Who got it?
Some lady. I don't know, but I know he didn't get it. And
Right.
No, it wasn't her. And it's kind of like, I don't even care. I mean, they gave this thing to Obama when he didn't accomplish anything. Arafat has one. I mean, they're just throwing these things out willy-nilly left and right, it seems. I don't know, I don't know much about, I read the initial 20-point whatever proposal. I just think that when you negotiate with somebody, like if you and I, for instance, Mark,
Mhm.
and I say, look, I want to do the show at 2. And you say, I want to do it at 10. Maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. We negotiate. We're both good faith negotiators. We have a common goal, which is to get the show on the air. So we agree to it. The problem here, as far as I can tell, is the Israelis have never had a honest negotiating partner on the other side. So
Correct.
I don't even know how you start the negotiating process with people that you know are liars, that you know want you dead. They have everything to gain from a pause in the fighting. I don't know, what does Israel have to gain? I mean, I shouldn't say that, because of course Israel does have something to gain. There'll be less people in the short term dying, less people being put at risk.
Well, consider
But
that the IDF is pretty much every citizen in Israel. They also now can put those resources to work for productive uses instead of being in war.
right. So I mean, they do have something to gain, but from the short term, I mean. But long term, I just don't see Hamas sticking to it. I think that this was the very easy part for Hamas to agree to, because they're going to release a few hostages, and in return, they're going to get a whole lot of their guys. But the next phase, does anybody think Hamas is going to agree to just go away, disappear into the night? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong, but my starting point to this, and I think it's my end point, is you can't negotiate with people that want you dead. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. Donald wants a big, hoorah. His people love to praise him. He deserves the Peace Prize. He's great. Yay, Trump, best thing since sliced bread and all that, but I don't know. If he does bring peace to the area, if it's a lasting peace, then I'll say yes. He deserves credit for it. But when did they negotiate with Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin? What was that? 93.
Yeah.
How long did that stick? You know what I mean? I don't.
It
I
took
don't see it.
as long as Arafat was in the States, because the second he returned in Arabic, he resumed warfare against Israel. He had no intention of stopping the war. Michael, the man was worth billions of dollars, and he was worth that much money because of the conflict. I mean, the only reason I think he came to the negotiating table was because Hamas at the time was a young up-and-comer, and they were posturing as an anti-corruption party. And so he felt the competition coming from that side of the aisle and needed to do something about it. But he had no intention of stopping the conflict. And of course, in the end, Hamas ended up winning. Folks, we are up to 555 subscribers. Is that what that says? 555 subscribers, according to Kat Sterling. Thank you. Thank you very much. Did I get it wrong?
No, you got it right, but you're squinting at the TV.
I am, because the print is too small.
Now,
I need large print.
So did you do what you were supposed to do this morning, Mark? Let's put Mark on the spot. Did you go to YouTube and share this from YouTube?
Of course I didn't.
Okay. See, had you done that, you would see that it was 555.
No, but I'm pleasantly surprised now. So the good news is, because I did not go to YouTube and like and
there's
like,
the bright side.
Right. The bright side is that this is surprising news to me, and it's a pleasant surprise. Like and subscribe, folks. Do what I'm not doing, which is go to YouTube and like and subscribe, and also share this liberally on other social media platforms, because I think this message needs to get out there. Now,
Did you finish my book yet?
I'm about 7 chapters in, so it's a tutorial. You know what's great about it for me, Michael, is it's a tutorial in Misesian economics. I mean, I'm really getting a refresher in Austrian economics reading this stuff.
Awesome.
So I actually appreciate it. So maybe I don't have to go back and revisit some of those 1,000-page books, because I'm getting a nice thumbnail through your book. I haven't read it the last day or two, though, because I've just been so exhausted. When I get home, I just sort of lay in bed and go into a comatose state, crying myself to sleep. But folks, it's okay. I'm not mentally ill. I'm just grieving someone I love very much. Now, this may be a James Valiant question, or maybe you have the answer to it, because I'm not sure that I necessarily do. I have thoughts about it, but I don't know that they could constitute answers. Jenna, I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'm not going to say it, Jenna. But she says, common law versus civil law, which is better for capitalism?
Oh wow. Geez, that's a tough one. I do know the difference. Civil law comes from Rome. Common law evolved from England. We are primarily, our laws are primarily derived from English common law in a large way, except for I believe Louisiana. I think their laws are based on the civil law coming out of Rome. But I don't know the answer to that question, which is better. The reason I don't know ultimately is because I don't know that it's the method of laws that matters, but the type of laws that matter. So I'm not really sure. I'm sorry. I can't. I am inclined to think that constitutional law is the best for capitalism. That's what I think. There are people that would argue that common law, because common law evolves and it changes with the time. So there are people that would say that common law is better. But I am inclined to think that the constitutional law, the United States model, if followed, and that's a big if, is the best.
Yeah, certainly, certainly laws that we understand that protect property unequivocally and the individual right to freedom of action. Those laws matter, and I think if Jim Valiant is anywhere in the audience, he can tell us, make even greater distinctions between the two, and help us with understanding which would be better, which are better for capitalism. Certainly, the presence of the law is an aspect of capitalism. You need law to protect property, and the law does set you free, folks. It doesn't bind you. Good law sets you free. It enables you to hold and keep what you've earned and own, and to dispose of it as you choose. And we are for any laws that enable human beings to do that. Akira Felix, can you read what Akira Felix has said here, so I'm not squinting?
Yes,
Oh,
he says common law gives me this living constitution vibe, not good. Very, very much so. The whole point, or one of the points of a
so much precedent.
constitution
Yeah.
is to codify, to put it in writing what the Constitution is. The English Constitution is not in writing. Ours is.
Right, and evolves with changing times, and might necessarily mean the principles change, as opposed to building upon those principles and deducing other laws based on the principles that we know. Kira Felix says the amount of people celebrating peace on the pro-Israel side is concerning. They forgot October 7th faster than Americans forgot 9/11. Yeah, I gotta say, they are kind of spiking the football, and so overwhelmingly happy to get the 20 or so, 20 to 28 living hostages back, that they're forgetting exactly the monster.
Oh, look, hold on. Calm down. Everybody take a deep, deep breath. We have something here. Sorry to interrupt, but this is important.
Yeah.
James Valiant. Historically, common law produced solid principles inductively ground up. Once we have a broader philosophical understanding, we need U.S. Constitution. Yes, Jim, that is correct. Jim Valiant is right. So if, just give him a big applause. Applause to Jim Valiant, who, if I mind you, told us he couldn't be here today. But when he hears his name, he's like the guy in those State Farm commercials. He just appears and answers the question.
Well, I love it. The Nobel Prize winner apparently was Maria Corina Machado.
Venezuelan. So oh, that's who it was. The Venezuelan opposition leader.
Opposition leader, industrial engineer, and former deputy of the National Assembly of Venezuela. Now, what is it, Maria or Mario? Yeah, Maria. What did Maria do specifically as the opposition?
That's a problem you run into at bars sometimes nowadays, from what I understand.
What?
Is it Maria or Mario? Sometimes you don't know.
It's just, but tell me, what specifically did she did to earn the Nobel Prize?
Dude, I have a hard enough time keeping up with what you're doing. You think I know what this lady in Venezuela is doing? I don't know. She opposed Maduro. That's what I know.
Okay, well, that's valuable. That's certainly somewhat worthy, isn't it? Yeah, you can't negotiate with terrorists. Kat Sterling says that's absolutely true. When you reach 666 subscribers, Mark has to do the show as Lucifer. What makes you think I'm not doing the show right now as Lucifer, my friend? James Valiant, historically comment, thank you, you put this up there, solid principles inductively ground up. Once we have a broader philosophical understanding, we need you as Constitution. I like that a lot. So Persephone adds, for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela and for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. Well, we need her. I don't think Miss Machado is in any way related to Jean-Jacques Machado, my mentor in jiu-jitsu, but I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't some relationship there. So those are the questions we have so far, Michael. So should we get to the articles of the day? I wanted to start with one, which is from the great Kia Willis, who I love her Twitter. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Are you laughing at me because I'm pronouncing it wrong?
No, I think I'm just smiling like an idiot because I'm exhausted. Like I'm. This is so out of whack right now. There's no coffee. I got water. I don't know. But I think that's her name, and I do follow her on Twitter. I want to eventually get her on my show.
Yeah, she's a great voice of reason. That would be great. We should have her on this show.
So go get her.
All right. I'll see if she'll come on our show.
Do you understand? Okay, I just want to explain to you something real quickly about power dynamics and influence dynamics.
You don't have to. Michael,
no, I need to explain it.
No. Just because I DM somebody doesn't mean that I'm going to have any more influence over that person.
Oh, that's pure codswallop.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. If we're talking probability, yes, it is. This is. I think we need to establish this once and for all times, because I don't know if you appreciate this.
Look at all the great people you've gotten on the Rational Egoist.
I have
great people you've gotten on the Rational.
I have, but here's the problem.
Any better, Michael?
Well, no. Somebody gets a DM from ex-convict with 2,500 followers. Somebody gets a...
Wait, let me just act this out. Whoa, wait a minute. Ex-convict, 25 followers. Wow, this is interesting. Why is this guy DMing me? Poop.
Yes, I'm calling the police, is what they're thinking next.
They're not saying I'm going to call the police. They hit the DM and they're like, wow, he's asking me to be on his show. I wonder.
Oh, my God. This is absolute
what could this ex-convict possibly offer me? Let me find out. Let me look at his feed. And then they see an intelligent feed.
They think they're getting their identity stolen. No, that's what they think.
They see an intelligent feed and they're like, I think I'm going to try this because this guy has some substance. You can't judge a book by its cover.
This is some mental gymnastics, the likes of which I've never seen. Like this is, I can't even believe I'm dealing with this.
Suppose me. They get a DM from me. Oh, Pellegrino, he played Lucifer. I mean, I wonder if he's cursed because he played Lucifer on the show Supernatural. He wants me to be on his show. What the fuck? This guy's an actor. What the fuck does an actor know about politics?
You know what I'm reading right now? The book I'm reading right now is The Science. It's the title of it is called The Science of Detecting Bullshit.
I'm not.
And I'm like, it's just hitting me square in the face right now.
Then they go to my feed and they see words like the C word when I'm talking to communists.
They're not even looking that far. You were in the Big Lebowski. Once they see you were in the Big Lebowski, they say, we got to get we're going to talk to this guy.
It really doesn't matter.
It does matter. That's codswallop. And everybody knows it in the audience. And this is going to be the question, by the way, today on YouTube. We're going to go that.
Okay, so we're gonna see if Kaya will come on the show if I DM her. Let's see if so we'll have her come on.
We can both do it, matter of fact, and see who she responds to. It can be like a game.
All right, and we'll bet money on it. No,
I don't have any money. We've established that. You're the rich guy. See,
I don't want to take you back to the betting thing because I read about your betting. Take you back there, my friend. Look, Kai Willis is a voice of reason on Twitter, folks. If you are not following her, please follow her immediately because she has some of the best posts I've ever read. And this one is, of course, very good. Trump doesn't deserve a peace prize. Of course he doesn't. He pressured Israel to surrender. Of course he did. This deal won't bring peace. It guarantees the next war. Of course it does. Because when the ideology is still alive in the people, it's only a matter of time before it manifests in violence. As long as Gaza and the West Bank glorify jihad and martyrdom, this won't end. Yes, she's exactly right. Rewarding them for 10-7 only invites more terrorism in the future. This is precisely what Canada, England, France, and every other country that has attempted to recognize a fake Palestinian state has done. They have empowered Hamas with the moral sanction to continue fighting when they should actually be stopping. So that's the first thing you sent me this morning, Michael, and it really got my dander up.
That's why I sent it.
You wanted to get my dander up? You know what it's
Yeah,
like having a dander that's up?
What the hell is dander anyway?
None yet. If you don't,
Good answer.
Look, it's one of those things. If you don't know it, I can't explain it to you.
That's like this saying, right? When someone will say, like, you can either say it seems, it seems this conversation is fun, or it seems to me this conversation is fun. I was thinking about this, but why do I have to add the to me? If I just say it seems, who the hell else am I going to be talking about? It seems to the neighbors. You know what I mean? Of course I'm talking about myself, but I digress.
I didn't understand the word you just said.
That's all right. Persephone got it. She's smiling.
No, she's probably slapping her head at this very moment, cupping her head in her hands and saying,
No.
what's happening on this show today? You also sent me another tweet today. All of these tweets, by the way, I responded to. I mean, I went out there and I quote tweeted them, which will make me very popular with everybody, I'm sure.
A friend of mine posted to Facebook this morning, life is short. Be sure to spend as most of it as you can arguing with strangers about politics on the internet. And I told him, I'm way ahead of you, dude.
I'm way ahead of everything.
No, you're the king.
I am the king of it. Well, yeah, I've been doing less.
Oh, Jim gave the answer, by the way, to Dander. Jim, the literalist. Thanks. Dander is dead skin and hair particles. Well, thank you, Jim. Mark's dead skin and hair particles are up. Something tells me, though, if you were to say it that way, it doesn't sound as good. You're really getting my dead skin and hair particles up, sir.
Scott Lincecum wrote...
I think it's Lincecum, but okay.
Lincecum, thank you. Lincecum. Who is he?
I have no idea. I think he's an economist. I believe he's with the Cato Institute. So I shouldn't say I have no idea. I have an idea. I lied again.
That could be interesting. That's potentially interesting information because he quote tweeted something here from Aaron Rupar that quotes Trump. Trump says, "I can create peace with tariffs." First of all, before I go on reading, I've never heard of such a policy actually creating peace. Usually it creates great tensions between nations and effectually could lead to actual fisticuffs. I'm using them for a lot of different reasons, he says. Yeah, I'm sure you are, Trump. If that power was taken away from the president, it would be a terrible, terrible day for the country. No, it would be a truly liberating day if Congress retakes the power of the purse and takes it away from you, who are adding nothing but chaos and disruption to the economy, which conservatives will start to discover in the next year or so as employment figures start to decline, as jobs become more difficult to find, as businesses run like hell, and as prices go up for everybody, as they are at the grocery store. One of the many places Trump said he was going to bring prices down. That's certainly not happening when I go to the grocery store, and it's partly because the supply chains are disrupted from these crazy, crazy tariffs. So he thinks it would be a terrible, terrible thing for him to lose power in this respect. And I would say many of the things I've done could be eradicated. Well, that would be wonderful. I'd like many of those things to be eradicated. But he goes on, Michael, to say that this is in reference to the small businesses that are actually suing the government because the tariffs are destroying their businesses. Here's what he says in response to these poor individuals who are being crushed by the boot of government. These are enemies of the country that are pursuing this lawsuit. Enemies of the country. Simply people who want to run their businesses unobstructed by this megalomaniac, narcissistic freak. This is the guy, folks, who is passing off to the world, I think the benighted world, that he is some form of capitalist. I mean, we've had a lot of anti-capitalist presidents in our lifetime. Since the progressive era, there has rarely been a president that has been in office that is pro-government. There's probably three.
You mean pro-capitalist? They're all pro-government.
pro-capitalist in government. And even then, they probably didn't understand the principles of capitalism, even though they happened to fall into enabling capitalism to happen on a wider scale. Yet this guy is a vicious opponent of capitalism. And I mean, at least the Democrats hide behind political rhetoric. This guy doesn't have the skill even to hide behind legalese and political rhetoric. He's just a blunt tool, destroying the economy with economic nationalism. So, what say you to this? I mean,
what did Scott Lincecum say, though? Because that's good.
I know the president spews so much delusional word vomit that we casually dismiss this stuff. But calling the small business plaintiffs in the tariff cases enemies of the country is still really shitty. I would say it's beyond really shitty. I'd say it's chilling.
Yes. And I want to go a little bit beyond, because this is ridiculous to call businessmen who don't want to be paying taxes, somehow they're enemies of the United States. The whole freaking country was started as a revolt against taxes, jackass. But I want to just point something out here, because in Robert Trzynski's book, Dictator from Day One, and, people may have a problem with that. Well, he's not a dictator, that sort of thing. Okay. He is called the media the enemy of the people. He uses rhetoric about the enemy within. Now he's calling these people the enemy of the government or enemy of the United States, something. That is intentional. The language that he uses is always or very frequently enemies, war, terrorists, insurrections, rebellions. That is the language he uses, and he does it for a reason. And if hell with this. If the American people, or at least the Trump supporters, are this stupid or malevolent to keep falling for this, I say screw them, man. Seriously. Like, you're calling American citizens the enemy within, or the enemy of the people who are just, want to make a living as small businessmen who daddy didn't loan them, upwards of $400 million, way beyond the million that Trump claims, which he says is just a small loan. A lot of people don't have that, and they're trying to make do. You're taxing them to death by lying and saying the taxes are on other countries. And then when they have the audacity to oppose him, he calls them enemies. Screw him, and screw the people that support him. Seriously. I mean,
what, Michael?
I just want to say one more thing. I'm told over and over again that I've got to be nice. And I'm told this by people across the spectrum. Be nice to the MAGA people. Maybe you'll win them over. If they're comfortable with this scummy BS, they're not going to be won over. Right? So screw them. That's my thoughts on it.
First of all, I think to be nice to someone, that person has to earn it. And if they've demonstrated a history of incivility and violent rhetoric that inspires the kind of power pushes that Trump is laying on the country, you have no obligation to be polite or kind. You should say it exactly as it is. Of course, keep it to words. And this is do as I say, not as I do, since I tend to go in the other direction. But we have a vigorous debate here with this person, and would likely be labeled as enemies of the people. And you know what, Michael? I mean, I've always felt of a citizen of a country to be the preserver of the laws, and I don't want to say traditions, but certainly the moral premises of that country. That's what a citizen does when they vote. And a rebel to be, of course, actively working against those principles. Well, the principles of the United States that we like, the founding principles, are now the outsiders. They're the outliers, and we are now the rebels. And the good citizen is now defending a dictator's diktats. And I think this is not the kind of world that I certainly want to live in. And speaking of this, watching Pete Hegseth in a
hold on 1 second. Don't get to that yet, because I want to share something. Yeah. Okay. The epistemological nightmare that we're up against, and what I mean is the way that people think, the way they gather knowledge. So there was a friend of mine who's a big Trump guy. Charlie Kirk loves him, and he was upset with us, the show we did yesterday. This is the guy who, remember I told you he had called me a leftist, but then didn't know what supply side economics was, supports a living constitution, supports tariffs, wants the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, that sort of thing. Yesterday, he said to me, you guys are misrepresenting Kirk. I said, okay, name one thing. He said, you're cherry picking. I told him, name one thing, Rob. That's his name. I said, tell me one thing that we got wrong. He couldn't. He said, I've been following him for 10 years, blah, 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 whatever it was. I've read all his books. I said, okay, come on a stream with me and debate me. He says, I'm going to need a month to prepare. I said, why? You've just told me how wrong we are and how you know everything about the guy. Why would you need a month to prepare? And he keeps equivocating. He says, slavery built this country. I said, okay, that's a leftist position. It's a leftist talking point. But he doesn't know that. He says, Charlie Kirk is a capitalist. I can tell you that. I said, define capitalism. He said, I can't do that. I said, well, if you can't do that, then how can you tell me the guy's a capitalist? Right? Now, this conversation went on and on. Now, the point is that he's typical. Right? He gets an emotional reaction from people like Trump and the deceased Charlie Kirk. They make him get the feels. And that feeling he gets is truth. And anything that when he's challenged, can't answer it, can't address it, but yet this is what he believes. And like, what do you do when you're dealing with that? How do you convince him? What is the magic word to say that I'm told that to bring these people to the light? How can you do it?
You're right. There really is nothing you can say because they've decided not to reason their way through their through their premises. So it's difficult and frustrating. But Michael, that's part of the magic of social media is that frustration fuels exchange. Unfortunately, capitalism is when slavery.
They're joking around.
Good, of course.
Don't get caught up in that.
I'm not. But so you sent me another tweet. This is from Republicans Against Trump, who I follow now as a result, I think mainly of this tweet. Pete Hegseth says there's no other way to create the kind of love and enthusiasm than with your leadership, sir. It seems like these cabinet meetings they're becoming a travesty. It's almost like almost like a Saturday Night Live satire on how to kiss a dictator's ass.
Yes.
And Trump sits there all bent over and humble and just purring and cooing in the praise that this sycophant is heaping on him. Not one single person in the cabinet says no. They're all nodding their heads. Yes, Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. And so he's never challenged once in these meetings, and it's sort of despicable because we're talking about policies. I'll discuss this policy later with the boats and the drug boats that are happening and the destruction of drug boats and the murders of people without even knowing whether or not these people are really drug runners and whether they're really carrying drugs, but using the military as Pete Hegseth will say in this very same session, in its highest, or just JD fans saying, using the military to defend itself against these drug runners, these terrorists, is using the military in the highest manner possible. No, I'm afraid it's not. There is a much easier solution to the drug problem, my friend, and that is called legalization. And you're afraid of it because it takes away your power. Power to do exactly what you're doing, which is to randomly bomb boats that are in the Caribbean,
right,
and to start hostilities with other nations, and to break into people's houses because they happen to have possession of a banned substance. Watching these cabinet meetings is becoming a really ugly phenomenon for me when I see them.
It's so, and the funny thing, the height of irony to me is Pete Hegseth is the guy out there talking about masculinity and, toughening up the military, and people are praising him. They're bringing masculinity back. Really? This is masculinity?
No.
I mean, it's so laughable. It's what I call, Mark, the rise of the pseudo tough guy, right?
Yeah.
There are these people who pretend to be tough. Like you see them on the internet running their mouths behind fake names, for instance. But you've got this idea that they're so badass, they're so tough. Dude, you're literally, like not literally, but you're figuratively licking the scrotum of this guy on national TV and then talking about how masculine and tough you are. You have no self-respect, none, to behave that way. It's so gross
It's the
and so weak.
It's the Andrew Tate version of masculinity, writ large in the political spectrum. Yeah, and it's so obvious that that's what he's doing. And I hate to use this term because I know so many people are against it, but Hegseth is showing beta male, his beta male self all over the place. Even though I know he thinks he's tough, but it's just a horrific thing to see. And in a way, I'm glad that Trump is so transparent with these cabinet meetings, right? Because he wants us to see this all, because he wants us to see him, because he likes all the coverage that he gets. But anybody with I think, half a brain can understand that this is really a sort of sick phenomenon we're seeing. All these sycophants just praising him for an hour, 2 hours, however long these cabinet meetings go. That there's something wrong in the state of something is rotten in the state of Denmark, my friends, and at least we're able to witness it. It's not behind the scenes. We're able to witness it. Let's hope it has an effect in 2026. Do you think it will?
I don't know. I'm at a loss because the Democrats are just awful.
So I'm not like Chase Oliver. You sent me another thing from Chase Oliver. So Chase Oliver's politics and my politics are diametrically opposed to each other. I think he's a funny guy from time to time.
They're not diametrically opposed. Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Chase Oliver, the English guy. We're talking about the English guy.
Chase Oliver was the libertarian candidate for president. John Oliver is the English
John
comedian.
Oliver. Sorry, I'm confusing with John. It's too early for me. Okay, so Chase Oliver and I would not be so. Look. It's 7 o'clock.
You would disagree heartily on Israel in foreign policy,
Yes.
but on domestic policy, you would have a lot of agreements with Chase.
Okay, good. So but the foreign policy is a huge thing. The Israel thing is a huge thing. It's almost a fundamental disagreement. But this is so this is good to know where this is coming from, because I probably should have looked at the profile before I actually went on to read.
Oh my God.
I was reading it at 5 o'clock in the morning. You got to give me a break. I had no sleep.
As a guy, a guy in prison I used to talk to used to say, "Why do I get stuck with all the winners? Just once can I get a loser? Just once."
So ICE is planning to build a 24/7 social media surveillance team to target people for deportation, folks. I'm going to read this straight from the horse's mouth here. According to the government documents obtained by Wired, ICE is planning to hire 30 private contractors to monitor social media platforms around the clock, with the goal of gathering intel to help coordinate raids and deportations. Per Wired, the contractors would, quote, operate as intelligence arms of ICE's Enforcement and Removal Operations Division. They will receive tips in incoming cases, research individuals online, scary, and package the results into dossiers that could be used by field officers to plan arrests. This is not the end of this horrific stuff. Platforms that they intend to surveil will include X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. ICE currently uses surveillance database developed by a data firm, Palantir, as well as a tool called Graphite, developed by Israeli spyware company Paragon, which can allegedly remotely hack apps like WhatsApp and Signal, according to documents obtained by Wired. ICE may also incorporate AI into its existing digital surveillance efforts. There's no possibility that this is going to spread out to the wider population, Mike. Not at all. What do you say?
I think Chase is right. I think it's going to be used on everybody. I mean, how do you differentiate between illegal immigrants and everybody else if you're not looking at everybody else at once? There's no announcement. There's no, check mark next to your name that says I'm illegal, right? So it's, of course, going to be used against everybody else. And meanwhile, his people will be yelling, "Yay, freedom." So, that's what we have. It's utterly repugnant. And it's the people that speak out against this are labeled, leftists, enemies of the people, whatever. It's so much, Mark, that it's difficult to even keep speaking about it because they just do so much. And yet there's so much to respond to. I've never seen anything like it. Not in my lifetime. I never thought that I could dislike a president more than I dislike Barack Obama, but this is it. I do.
As well as I mean, and I have been searching the world, Michael, for a place to live where I can live relatively freely, where I could dispose of my property as I see fit, live within my means, without the parasitic political class attacking me. I can only think of one country where that's becoming possible, and that's potentially Argentina. But
what about Liechtenstein?
Liechtenstein?
Yeah.
Tell me about Liechtenstein.
I looked them up yesterday, and they're very good on the Freedom Index and the Capitalism Index. Small little country in Europe.
Okay, well maybe there's that. There are some places that are friendly to expat Americans, and they give them special deals. That was happening in Portugal for a while. Parts of Italy were doing that. We were actually.
Would you take me with you if you moved to Liechtenstein?
I
can live in a basement.
I can't live in a place called Liechtenstein.
What? Why? Just call it Pellegrinoville. You're good.
Okay, Pellegrinoville I could possibly live in, but Liechtenstein is an impossibility. Well, that may be something to consider in the future as our currency collapses with Trump's control, almost complete and absolute control of the Fed, which will soon be happening. So, Michael, we know that the government is shut down right now, which could present travel problems for me, and I have to do a lot of traveling in the next couple of weeks. And this may present some problems for me because right now, air traffic controllers, who should be privatized, by the way, all of these airports should be private. They are working without pay right now, and so that's going to this government shutdown is putting an extreme strain on resources like that. But the Democrats have closed down the government essentially because of a trillion plus part of the bill that they want added in there. They claim that people are going to be losing health care, but it's really a little bit more complicated than that and a little bit more despicable when you get down into the weeds. Do you want to explain a little bit, Michael, about what it is they're trying to preserve with the COVID-19 provisions that they're trying to keep in?
Well, they're trying to keep the subsidies that were put in place during COVID-19. They want to expand them, and keep them in there permanently, which is what they always do. Turns out that the people that are benefiting from these subsidies are not the poor, which is who they always like to tout. It's just more, and this, we'll get to the question in a second, but and I can tie them together, but just bigger government, more government subsidies, higher taxes, bigger debt. That is all we really need to know, right? Is they just want to keep expanding and paying, and people become totally unaware of the cost of the things they're doing. The insurance companies benefit because they're getting the payment. The interesting thing I saw, though, was how many people they have enrolled that they're getting money for that never even use it.
Yeah.
But they're getting money anyways. And it's just, Kat Sterling asked, what about Obama's presidency did you not like? I was only a teenager at the time. Thanks for reminding me how old I am, and not aware of politics too deeply. I could tell you executive orders. He was very big on those when he couldn't get his way with Congress. Obamacare, getting government more and more involved in the healthcare system instead of less involved.
Can I just say something about Obamacare for a second? It came under whenever somebody in government labels something affordable, you know that it's going to be unaffordable shortly. And the Affordable Care Act literally tripled almost everybody I know's premiums, literally tripled. And then, Michael, add to that I would have to pay an additional $5,000 every year to subsidize Obamacare, in addition to my own private insurance subsidies and my own private insurance premiums that I had to pay for my own family. Yeah, is this a joke or what is that?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, dude, just maybe don't jump in the middle of the
Hey,
conversation and
not my
start
problem.
commenting.
Not my problem. We're actually saying the Democrats are wrong at the moment. So
Yeah.
we're and we
No,
don't
no,
defend Trump.
he's quoting us. He's saying we're just here defending Trump.
Yeah, no, we don't defend Trump. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah,
we beat Trump up on a daily
yeah.
basis. We don't
Yeah,
like Trump. We
we're
just
we're
said
49 minutes in, like 45 of it was spent skewering Trump. But this happens to me all the time.
and you saying, Michael, literally 10 minutes ago that you didn't think you could hate anybody worse than Obama. Now you hate Trump probably
Yeah,
more than any other president that's ever been around. Yeah, well, of course, the Democrats are trying to put this pork in. They're trying to expand the government by $1.6 trillion, somewhere in that neighborhood, and make what was supposed to be temporary permanent. That's what always happens, right?
yes,
All these regulations that they push upon us from day one were supposed to be temporary adjustments to problems that regulations previously had caused. They are all supposed to be temporary, folks, and they become permanent because once government
right.
expands, it does not want to take
Yeah.
back that power.
So I'm trying to, like, people are pointing out things in the chat, and I'm trying to stick to like the big fundamentals of what Obama did. He incessantly raised the debt ceiling after saying raising the debt ceiling was un-American when he was a senator. So I mean, those are just things. His rhetoric was very socialistic in terms of, we have to spread the wealth around. If you own a company, you didn't build that. What was his thing? You had the help of the American people. That was something else. And, then he threatened Syria, which I was not for getting involved in Syria anyway. But when you tell another country there's a red line that you better not cross, and then they cross it and you do nothing, that's not a good approach to anything. But yeah, he also targeted American citizens with drone strikes, or American citizen. Did a lot of deportations. To be honest, at the time that Obama was carrying out his deportations, I didn't care as much about immigration as I came to, because I hadn't read as much about it. I didn't have the resources to study the constitutionality issue, for instance, in regard to immigration, but that's something else. But he was not a good president. His policies were not good. But Sam Harris, and probably a lot of people are going to hate Sam Harris too, but he makes the point that, yes, the politicians have always lied, but they at least cared about the truth. They had shame when they got caught, and they would, try to spin or get out of it, whatever. Trump just says anything. And he has something way worse, in my view, than what the mainstream media was for Obama. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because the mainstream media bent over backwards to protect Obama, right?
Yeah, but Obama would criticize the one news network that was criticizing him, but he never went after them legally. He never
Yes.
to break them down and intimidate them by using the FCC as a lever against them. That's unprecedented. That's unprecedented.
Chandler, I think, is wrong here. Chandler, I'm going to look into it, but I believe what he was saying, I think he used a road as an example, but I believe he was saying you didn't build your business on your own, and he used the roads as an example. The roads that you're using to build your businesses, you didn't build, and therefore you didn't build your business
But what
on
you
your
built
own.
now was dependent upon what other people have built in the past.
Yes, I'm
So
pretty sure
therefore,
that was the context, Chandler.
you're
If I'm
wrong.
wrong, it's been a while, but I'm pretty, because
You're not wrong.
Elizabeth Warren has said the same thing.
You're not wrong about the context. The only person who was wrong about context was me when I mistook Chase Oliver for John Oliver. But it's early in the morning, folks.
How about Not My Problem? He was pretty wrong too.
Not My Problem was wrong as hell.
Yeah, that
But
was terrible.
we'll expect an apology from Not My Problem.
I'm not seeing it, but that was like the worst. Now, we've had actual trolls, like, just making ridiculous comments. That might be the worst I've ever seen.
That was almost a commie troll. I was almost like on the level of commie.
Worse. I think it was worse.
You think it was worse?
Yeah,
Only because we spent 3/4 of the time
Yeah.
on Trump.
Yes.
Hey, listen, speaking of fucked up shit.
Nice mouth.
It says, yeah, I got a potty mouth this morning. Look, I want to.
Persephone's not happy. She's really going sick right now about your swearing. She's like slamming things down on the table, took her headphones off, everything.
So, Michael, innovation is an amazing thing. And of course, Uber and Lyft were these great innovations, these ride sharing programs that allowed people to get from point A to point B cheaper than, a cab or cheaper than hiring a car service. It was a great innovation. Then, of course, the taxi cab unions had a spaz attack about it. In Paris, they had a literal riot, my friend. I was actually there when the taxi cabs in Paris had a riot against Uber, and Uber had to bring up the prices of Uber comparable to the taxi cab drivers so there would be no more competition. Well, here we have this amazing innovation called Empower, where it's a rideshare app like Uber and Lyft, except the driver gets 100% of the share. He only pays a certain monthly fee for the app. He gets all of the money. That literally means that I think one of the examples in there, in Uber, to make $100, he has to have 16 or 17 rides. In Empower, to make $100, it's reduced by half. So it's reducing the guy's labor by half. He's keeping all of his money. And yet Washington, D.C. does not like this. The regulators in Washington, D.C. do not like this. Of course, the people who are using the app benefit greatly from it, especially elderly people, people on fixed incomes, people who have to get from one place to another but don't have cars and need the mobility and the accessibility that Empower is giving them. But Washington, D.C. is trying to shut this guy down. And Michael, there is actually an enforceable department.
That was the craziest thing. Like, all of it was insane. But this department that you have to register with, like, what the hell country are we living in when you have to register to charge people for rides?
It's the Department for Hire Vehicles.
Yeah.
Now, this department has enforcement capacity. Now, it can actually come after you. It can fine you. This guy's company is getting fined somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000 a day every time he tries to register his company with the proper authorities. He gets turned down. He gets spiked. Yeah. He gets fined. And these people have the capacity, Michael, to actually stop somebody in the street who is a rideshare participant, and get their phone with no warrant, and confiscate their car.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do anything a police officer can do. This is terrible. This is a fucking terrible precedent. I didn't have time to look at Grok and find out when this department actually became a real thing. But this is certainly one of the things that Doge, if it were actually a real thing, should have knocked out of the park. This department needs to go. You want to talk about limiting freedoms and killing innovation. This is a perfect example of government doing that very thing. But what I love about this guy, Sears, the guy who's the CEO of this company, he's determined not to give in. He's like, look, I will take losing to a competitor who's just created a better product than me, but I am not going to allow myself to be litigated or fined into non-existence by the government. What a ballsy dude! You got to love this guy. This guy's, I
love him.
Tell me what you think of this. And man, this department.
It's so stupid that you can't just do this without registering with the government. It's absolutely insane. We're supposed to have free enterprise, not check with the Department of Douchebags or whatever it's called. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it has to go. That's why we're here every single day making the case for capitalism, for free markets, for constitutional government. This country is out of control. It's coming from both ends of the political spectrum, both parties. They are terrible. That's why we need the American Capitalist Party, and that's why you have to give the capitalist thought of the day,
which is gonna just ricochet straight off of this. In a capitalist world, folks, there would be no Department for Hire Vehicles. there would be no EPA. If there were an EPA, it would be a private information org that might have the capacity to buy property privately and not develop it or conserve it, but they certainly wouldn't own property or prevent other people from having property. The federal government would sell the land that it holds now so that people could actually house themselves, so that people could develop housing. And they would take away regulations that are keeping people from being housed today. In other words, you would be able to start an app like Empower and nobody would fuck with you. And that is a kind of paradise that I want to see. You would also be able to keep what you own. You'd be able to keep what you've earned. There would be no the parasitic political class that would be constantly stealing from you. And in order to steal from you, keep you in a state of crisis and fear so that they could get money out of you. We would not make you afraid of life. We would enable you to embrace it. We wouldn't be talking about the enemy around the corner, how AI is going to kill you, how the earth is going to die in 12 years, or how China is going to give you a coffee enema in 10 days. We would let those threats would be irrelevant to us because we would be a progressive, forward-looking, advanced, innovative, free society. And a free society has nothing really to fear from an authoritarian society. The epistemology is in place to beat anything that they would send our way. So not only would a capitalist society be a free society, it would be a secure society, and mostly secure from the government, which is probably the biggest criminal in the history of the world. So, Michael, that's my capitalist thought for the day. You have the question that you wanted to.
I do, and I'm not going to go with that other question because it's too obvious and everybody knows the answer. My question is
Wait. I've forgotten what it was already, so you have to tell me what it was.
Who has more influence, you or I? So it's not. No, I'm not asking. It's silly. My question is this, folks. I am looking for a good movie to watch, a sleeper movie, something that's not out there, that's not obvious. Can I get some recommendations for a really good movie? What would be a really good movie to watch that's kind of, flies under the radar? That's the question. I got to get coffee. I got a turkey sandwich to eat. Mark, you go ahead and take us out.
All right, folks, you got the weekend to think about your premises, and if you have an ounce of statism in you, get it out. If it's still in you, keep coming here. We'll eventually cure you of your disease. So Monday, we're going to see you here, same bat time, same bat place as usual, not today, but 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Until that time, please, folks, peace. Oh, wait, I want to tell you before we go, we also have tomorrow, we're going to do our self-made soul. We're going to do our self-made soul on Patreon. So please go check that out.
That's on your Patreon.
Going to be on my Patreon. So check it out. It's for paid members. We're going to be doing my life. We'll be talking about my life. I explained why we're doing that earlier. It's also the 11th of October, which is Frankie's birthday. So I'll try to keep it together while I'm talking about all of that. And then on Sunday, Michael and I are going to have a discussion, not necessarily a debate, a discussion on whether or not a free society should ban certain political parties from the political world. And that's going to be at 10:30 on Sunday. Is that 10:30?
Yes, and that is going at 10:30 Pacific time, so 2:30 Eastern time, and that is on the Capitalist Corners Patreon.
That'll be our Capitalist Corner. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for joining us.
I had to. Persephone was ready to choke you. That's why I had to come in.
She's not going to choke me. She can't choke me. Anyway.
You might be into that. I don't know. But we just...
So we're, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you here Monday at our usual time. And until that time, have a great weekend, please. And love life. Love and live life. Thank you.